Okay, what if I told you that everything you've been taught about saving money is, well, wrong? What if the goal of stacking up as much cash as possible for retirement is actually a trap? We're about to dive into some really radical ideas from Bill Perkins' book, Die with Zero. And trust me, they could completely flip the script on how you think about your money, and more importantly, your life.
You know the story, right? The fable of the ant and the grasshopper. The responsible ant works all summer, saving, preparing, while the grasshopper just plays and lives it up. We're all taught to be the ant, but Perkins asks this one simple question that just stops you in your tracks. When does the ant ever get to play? And that question really forces us to face a pretty uncomfortable truth. If you spend your entire life just preparing for the future, when do you actually get to live it?
All right, so this first big lesson completely reframes our relationship with money. We think of our wealth in terms of dollars and cents, but the book argues that we're using the wrong currency entirely. The real currency of your life is something way more valuable and way more finite.
And that currency is your life energy. Think about it. Every single hour you spend at your job, you are trading a piece of your limited time here on Earth for money. So that cash in your bank account, it's not just paper. It is a physical token representing the life you have already spent. And once you start seeing money that way, as stored up life energy, it changes every single decision you make about how you earn it and especially how you spend it.
The book gives this perfect, kind of heartbreaking example. Let's talk about Elizabeth. Now, she did everything right, by society standards. She worked her tail off, she lived frugally, and she saved every penny for a future she was told she had to be ready for.
So when Elizabeth passed away at 85, this is how much she had sitting in her accounts: $130,000. Now, on the surface, you might think, wow, good for her, she was so responsible. But this number, it doesn't represent success. It represents a massive waste.
That money is like a ghost of the life she could have lived. It's the trips she never took, the passions she never chased. But the dollar amount, that's only a tiny fraction of the real tragedy here. The true cost, when you measure it in that currency we just talked about, life energy, is absolutely staggering.
6,646. That's how many hours Elizabeth worked to earn money she never, ever got to use. Let that sink in. That is over 2.5 years of her life working 50-hour weeks for nothing. She traded years of her one and only life for money that was, in the end, completely useless to her. This is the real, tragic cost of oversaving.
So, if hoarding money is just a waste of life energy, what's the alternative? Well, this second lesson gives us a really powerful solution. Invest your money and your time into something that actually provides compounding returns and happiness. And that investment? It's experiences.
And this is where we get to my favorite concept in the whole book, the memory dividend. See, unlike a new car or a new phone, an experience isn't just a one-and-done transaction. It's an asset. It's an investment that pays you dividends for the rest of your life. Every time you think back on a great trip or tell a story about it to your friends or just smile looking at an old photo, you're cashing in a memory dividend. You're getting to relive the joy of that moment over and over again.
Let's put it this way. When you buy a thing, a material possession, its value almost always goes down, right? That brand new phone is super exciting the day you unbox it, but a year later, it's just a tool. Its ability to bring you joy has depreciated big time.
Experiences do the exact opposite. This chart shows it perfectly. A trip has its initial value, the fun you have while you're actually on it. But look, 10 years later, that value has actually grown. It's appreciated through all those memory dividends, the stories, the inside jokes, the way it kind of shaped who you are today. The book tells this great story about a guy named Jason who took out a loan to go backpacking in his 20s. That one trip, that single investment, became priceless to him over time.
Jason's words here just hit the nail on the head. The return on that investment was infinite. No stock, no bond, no piece of real estate can promise you that. So the big takeaway here is you've got to start viewing spending on experiences not as a frivolous expense, but as the single best investment you can possibly make for your lifelong well-being.
Okay, so this brings us to the most provocative and, honestly, the most logical lesson in the entire book. If money is just stored life energy, and the whole point is to maximize your life experiences, well, then your ultimate financial target shouldn't be some big fat number. It should be zero.
Now this is where it gets really wild, because this just flies in the face of logic.
This data from the Federal Reserve shows that people do not spend down their money in retirement. They keep saving it. I mean, look at this. Even into their late 70s and beyond, their median net worth keeps climbing. People are saving for a future that statistically is just not going to happen. This is the haunting question that all this data just forces you to ask. As your health declines and your ability to really enjoy experiences goes down, what some call the no-go years, what exactly are you saving all that money for? Why would you sacrifice your most vibrant, healthy years for a future you might not even be able to enjoy?
Okay, I get it. The idea of aiming for zero sounds absolutely terrifying. But this is not about being reckless. It's about being rational. The book lays out a really clear strategy. You figure out your timeline, you cover all your basic needs, and then you use financial tools like annuities to create a safety net, basically an income stream you can't outlive. This is what removes the fear. It frees you up to intentionally and aggressively spend down the rest on maximizing your one life.
Now there's one last huge objection that always comes up. It's the big one, the one that stops most people from even thinking about this philosophy.
Yup, this is it, the big one. Isn't it selfish to spend all your money on yourself? Isn't leaving a big inheritance the ultimate act of love for your family? Well, the book argues, pretty powerfully, that this way of thinking is completely backwards.
And this chart just lays out the difference so clearly. Leaving money is a passive thing that happens when you're gone. But giving money, that is an active, deliberate gift of love. You give it when it can have the most impact and, this is the best part, you actually get to be there to see the joy and the difference it makes. It transforms your legacy from just a number in a will to a series of shared, incredible experiences.
And this timeline shows just how massive that difference really is. A gift at age 26 can literally change the entire course of your kid's life. At 35, it could launch their dream business. But an inheritance at age 65, by then, they're probably at their own peak earning years. They don't need it as much. The money has way less impact. The best time to give to your loved ones is when they need it most, not just when you happen to die.
So in the end, this whole die with zero idea isn't just about maximizing your own life. It's about maximizing your impact. It really leaves us with this one final question to chew on. Instead of thinking about what dollar amount you'll leave behind, what if you started thinking about what experiences you can create for yourself and for the people you love while you're still here to share in them? Now, that might be the most valuable inheritance of all.